go to our
Sorry.
June 2nd, 2026, Board of Trustees meetings. If you will all please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first item is approving minutes. Did everyone get a chance to review them? We want to make a motion to accept. Do I hear a second?
Sorry.
All in favor? Aye.
I move that we approve warrant number 052126, which is the last budget year, in the amount of $15,225.24, and warrant number 060226 in the amount of $11,725.97, for a grand total of $26,951.21. The big items on here were $3,700 for the Cornell Cooperative, about $4,000 for all our utilities, and another $4,000 for insurance.
Would someone like to second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next we have department reports. Done? Oh, sorry, Chief. Racy in the back.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. For the month of May, there was 160 summonses issued, 844 incident reports completed, 138 in Grandview, 606 here in Piermont. The clicker and ticket detail was completed on Sunday. 41 tickets were issued, of those 36 were for seatbelts. And just so residents aware, 9W will be closed Thursday and Friday between the hours of, they're saying 9 and 3 to complete paving, roadside drainage repairs. They may be doing Saturday to do intersections, clean debris, trees and stuff. They have not confirmed that, but I'll put a message out to everyone that they do confirm Saturday as well.
Thank you. I just asked you one question. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I heard that this past weekend there were a call or two to 701.
Yeah, correct. And all those reports are forwarded to the building department.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just go over some totals here. I have the monthly totals for May. Garbage collection, we did 65.66 tons. Our bulk collection, we did 7.72 tons. And our brush collection, we did 5.51 tons. Household recycling was 16.47 tons. And I'll just go over some numbers for the fiscal year totals for fiscal year end 26. Garbage collection, for the full year, we did 716.03 tons. Bulk, we did 58 tons. Street sweeping spoils, 56.78 tons. Brush collection was 51.68 tons. Our bag leaf collection was 13.16 tons. Loose leaves, that's our leaf season, we did 100.49 tons. Our metal collection, which gets recycled, was 10.01 tons. Our yard waste, that's bag, that's 6.39 tons, and we recycled 62 tons of black powder concrete. For the year for household recycling was 216.16 tons. It's a little down from last year, but it's only a few tons off. So recycling year to year seems relatively safe. Good. One last thing. Early May, we sent out the biannual letter to the Sparkville residents living along Sparkville Creek. This letter just it informs them about not allowing yard waste and other debris to enter the Sparkville Creek. We tell them about the pollution it creates and the fines that come along with it. So that went out early May to all the residents. I believe there was
So if Tom Hughes hasn't gotten to you yet, he sends his thanks and reports back that there has actually been a change in behavior. Landscapers who are working on production.
Oh, very good.
Great work.
Very good.
Thank you. Okay, next item is old business. Jennifer, do you have any old business?
No old business.
Does anyone have any business? Okay, I have a couple of things, sort of old business. So you may have noticed across the street that there's a stockade fence that has been erected for a certain portion of what had been referred to as the triangle lot. And the green fence, the construction fence, is now in process. It's going to be scheduled for removal this week. The problem with that is that no one's done any landscaping behind the fence for 2 years, and it's a big mess. And because it is private property, we are not able to authorize the DPW to go in there and do anything. But I did get permission from Phil, property owner, if we could get some volunteers together to go in and do some cleanup. We can grab some of the landscaping bags from the DPW. And so I'm trying to see if I can put together a volunteer work crew for this Saturday, the 6th, to go through, weed whack, bush trim, backing up all the debris, just cleaning the site up, hoping that for this July 4th, we can have something a little better to look at, and also that we're setting the bar a little bit lower in terms of the ask to go back to trying to get that property maintained along with Gare Street as it had been prior to the fence. So leaving a huge mess and saying, can you go in there and do that? It's a big ask. We can get volunteers clean it up and make it nice, and then they just have to maintain it. Maybe that is more reasonable. So there's a sign-up sheet in the back, and there's another one right here. And I'm not 100% sure that Saturday's going to work based on whether the weather is cooperative and if there's any delay in removing the fence. But my best information at this point is that the fence should be taken down either Thursday or Friday, and I'm hoping that does prove to be true. So anybody interested in helping, 2 sign-up sheets would be great.
I just have a question. Does the cleanup involve the other lots that didn't have that permission?
So the cleanup involves not the 2 parcels on Fairmont Avenue. They're now behind the stockade fence with a construction fence behind the green fence. The rest of the property is in dispute between, well, a portion of it is indisputably Phil's. A portion of it is in dispute between Phil's and Riley's. They both claim ownership. So my intention is to have Charlie go and make sure that Riley's doesn't have any objection, but I don't expect that they will have any objection because we're beautifying their property. Okay, next item is new business. Do you have any new business yet?
I do. The Piermont Community Garden, every year they have their annual summer party. They do a picnic at Burley Park. They are requesting to hold that picnic on June 20th, a rain date of June 21st, in the evening hours from 6 to 10 p.m. They set up around 2:30, and basically they do this every year. Unfortunately, she had sent her request yesterday at 10:30 at night, so I wasn't able to get it on the agenda. So I'm asking the board for permission for them to hold their event.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
No.
Someone would like to make a motion to give them the report.
I will make a motion.
So here a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And anything else for new business yet?
Just to let everyone know, the new website is up and running. I updated the calendar. So now you can look at June, and on the right side, you can see every event going on in the village for the month of June. I think the calendar is a lot more user-friendly. You can even click on events to get more details. So that's good. The tax bills obviously went out. We started collecting taxes yesterday. People do have the ability now to pay their taxes online. There is a fee. It's a 3% credit card fee. And for an e-check, there is a fee because we are using a third-party vendor, and they do charge a fee to do that. But as always, residents, as long as their envelope is postmarked by June 20th, we honor that for the first week of July without penalty, but July 1st is a 5% penalty that's imposed. So the tax collection is moving along. And as far as the website, we're just, Michael and I and Michelle
doesn't manifest itself in one day. So it'll take about 6 months, I think, until it's really bearing fruit for us. So please have some patience, right?
Amen.
And tell us if there's something you'd like to see or something that we've goofed up on. We'll fix it.
Yes, thank you. So I do have one thing, I guess it's new business. I just wanted to recognize Kelly Ruby for going out and getting the pride flags and putting the planters on Main Street. She took care of that herself this year for our Pride Month celebration, and so thanks to her for that. Does anyone else have any new business? All right, moving on, next item is public comment. Okay, first we have Maureen Myers-Wright. Will you please come forward?
Hi everyone, I'm Noreen Myers-Wright, 508 Gare Street. I come here tonight representing the Piermont Landing HOA. I am the president of that HOA board. I would like to express my disappointment in the response that the Paradise Harbor HOA received in their request for support from the village board in getting Paper Place and Spruce Street repaired. The request was not unreasonable, and I don't think it should have been dismissed without any demonstration of interest in working together to resolve this issue. We have a unique situation here. There are not many municipalities that have so many publicly used, privately owned streets, roads, and lands. It's going to take some creativity to find a solution to have privately owned roads that are left unmaintained and in disrepair fixed. Piermont Landing residents represent approximately 22% of the total population of Piermont. We are good neighbors. We keep our roads clear. We clear our snow. We do our landscaping. We participate in the village. We even paid to repave Gare Street when we could have. We are only the holders of an easement. We do not own that land. But we paid to have it repaved when we could have said, well, maintaining, what does it define, how does it work? But we didn't. We did the right thing. I ask that this board revisit this request and work to find a method of negotiating with the owner of these roads if needed, and if needed, develop the proper laws or codes necessary to hold the landowner accountable when they do not do the right thing and maintain their property. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe there was some progress on this week. I know that Phil was in negotiations with the paving company.
I had no idea. Nobody wrote back to us to say.
You said thank you. That was a board member. I have to, okay, we're keeping these separate, okay?
We're trying to.
There are categories in our house.
Yeah, the building inspector has been talking to Phil about trying to get that to happen, and there has been some progress, so hopefully.
Has Phil agreed to pave the road?
He was soliciting bids from contractors to do just that.
See that?
Good work, guys.
Okay, next we have Dennis Hardy.
Thank you. Dennis Hardy, 21 Gare Street. The fence issue, glad there's progress being made, and I would say as probably the number one person who has been complaining about the fence, I will be there Saturday to help out.
I see a name on the list.
So, but I'd like to piggyback on what Maureen said. I've lived in the Landing for almost 30 years, and I noticed that the green section coming into Gare Street again is overgrown. I walk out on Paper Street, there's holes that it's very dangerous. And what I would say is, here we go again, with the commercial property owner not maintaining his property. This happens continually. And I would say that I ask the village board to enforce the code with respect to property maintenance. Where I do disagree with Ms. Wright is, I don't believe Piermont taxpayers, this is private property, it always was, and I don't believe Piermont taxpayers should shoulder any burden of paving any of that property. It's owned by the commercial property owner, that's Mr. Griffin, it's his responsibility. And I would just say, please have our code enforcement officer enforce the code for property maintenance.
Well, so Dennis and I did, you did a somewhat extensive review of what our code actually contains as it pertains to this. And there is a deficiency or an oversight or an intentional omission of language specific to the road. So we are limited in what we can enforce on that private property. Maybe that is something that we could revisit from a legislative perspective. I'm sure the property owner would hate that, but it's something we could look at. But as it stands right now, we really don't have anything to point at and write a violation of. So Charlie's hands are somewhat tied in that regard, that he can go talk to him and if he goes being cooperative and helpful, maybe progress can be made that way, but Charlie doesn't really have like a hammer to hit him with if he's not doing it. That's why we're always going back and forth and talking.
All right. I would beg to disagree. There are many condominium projects all over the county that have private property that are subject to the local municipal codes.
Yes,
and
it's our code that doesn't have that language in it, is the point I'm making. This is different than other municipalities, perhaps.
The code provisions that were cited by the letter that we received with regard to this problem, and from Maureen and the rest of you, our code only provides for maintenance of buildings and structures. There's a glaring omission, as Nate said, with regard to roads. So our hands are tied, to a certain extent right now. Maybe we can remedy that situation.
Yeah, and one of the concerns is this is not a short-term problem. This is gonna go on forever, and it has been since the
And
condominiums were built.
it actually could get significantly worse, because if the commercial property owner ever were to sell the property, some sort of management company, we would have even less access to them and opportunity to, beg, plead, whatever. So yeah, it is something that I recognize after doing that code review that it is something that was left out. I don't understand why it was left out. And maybe it's something we need to revisit in the future, but there may also be other issues about enforcement that we need to address before we just write a law that then we have a problem enforcing.
I think we should study this situation because it's just gonna keep coming up over and over again. But one of the things that's of great concern
Thank you.
is that this is private property that's publicly used. That most of people out in the village or people coming to the village travel down here, or maybe cross over on Paper, and they're treated like public roads. And so the wear and tear on the roads, the burden, where does it end? How do we manage this situation so that it's fair to all concerned?
Well, and again, we're sort of putting ourselves in a position that we aren't in there because it's not village property. And so how do we fix, this is a private party issue. We have a party who may not be doing sufficient maintenance on their property. But we have limited tools as to how we can compel someone to do that. If you would like to have a property in poor repair, there's no law against that. That's your right, it's your property. So it is, and one thing I will mention also on that is that while they are streets that are open to the public, they aren't thoroughfare streets. They're not through streets. They don't go anywhere. They dead end with the commercial businesses and residences that are out there.
Lot D and the parking lot behind the bicycle shop. Even our police department uses those streets to get to their parking lot.
Yes, to some extent, some portion of the street. That's far away from Paper Street. We're talking about Paper Street.
But Gare is part of the conversation.
But there's a maintenance easement for Gare Street.
And so,
The difference with Paper Street is that there isn't an easement.
Yes.
That's correct. So they are the same, that's all.
When we had problems this winter with snow and ice removal of the private streets, particularly around Flywheel Park, and we were able to get some remedy, was that because we had code enforcement of something having to deal with snow and ice removal on private land, or was that just the generosity of fixing the problem, albeit late, for snow?
The latter.
Well, that explains that.
Can I just ask one?
So, I heard you now say that you looked at the codes and this is a glaring omission. And-
Use the word flare.
Okay, so maybe Jeff, it sounds like a Jeff word. So why is this not like a priority? Like, why is this, sometime down the road, we may get to this, the problem is here, and it's not going away. Why not put it at the top of the list and create the codes that you're missing?
Well, so as I alluded to before, my concern is that if we make a law that is imposing some sort of hardship on the property owner, we may be liable for that. So we have to be careful about how we go about this, and there may be restrictions on what we actually have the authority to do without creating a situation where we just get ourselves in a lawsuit that ends up costing everyone a lot of money. So that doesn't fix a road, but it still costs money.
But,
And
okay, you know what, I don't need to get into the weeds about how, but I would like to hear that, yes, you will look into it and do what you possibly can do. That is what my
I'm happy to make that
expectation
statement.
would be.
And I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, next we have Jordan Renner, 456 Carolina.
It's nice to meet everyone. My name is Jordan, or Jordan if you're fancy. I accept both pronunciations. No, please. I am the new resident at 456 Carolina Avenue, the former Euro shop. And so it'll be Gallery Palindroma and Art Lab, and I'm so excited to meet all of you officially. And as I've been going through and flipping the space so it meets the needs of what I will be providing to the community, there are two very standard and in great shape wooden picnic tables that are old school, that have the benches attached. And rather than see them go to a landfill situation, since they don't fit the aesthetic of what I'm doing in the back garden space, I was wondering if that's something that could be donated to the village and used in public property somewhere. I do have some printed photographs of them because Jennifer, my stupid iPhone was having some issues. It kept saying it was in the outbox. I don't know if you ever actually got the email. I was teaching all day today. I apologize. But so I do have them, and they're standard in length. They're in great shape. There's one edge that is a little raised, but they both are 59 from bench to bench, and then 71 in length. So they're front and back, so different perspectives.
And what kind of access is there to the backyard there to get them out?
So Michael, who is the resident, the gentleman that lives in the White House that helps contain that back private lot, there is a fence that has a gate access to it. And so I'm certain he would give permission, and that would be the easy way to remove it, is through there versus trying to maneuver and drag it through the actual physical space. Yeah.
That's like Richard you're talking about,
You know what, I don't know his last name, and I'm still becoming familiar with the names of the streets. I'm new to the area, so he's the house that is on the side street that's behind the spa. Yes. Yeah, and it's white. And so, and there's just two of them, and they're just kicking it in the garden space, which I've been working on, and I'd like to see them go to good use and to a good home if possible before I have my soft opening to the public later this month. So, of course, you don't have to decide right this moment, but I would love to.
I mean, the last time I was in Pirelli Park, there was one picnic table that was in pretty terrible shape. And I think there's room for Pirelli Park to probably put these. Is that a good idea?
We already have a table for it.
Oh, you put the new one there? Okay, never mind. Thank you. So yeah, let's think about it.
Okay,
Thank
great,
you.
that would be lovely. And then I'll circle back, so that would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nate
Okay, so item number 7 is to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement to retain Richard Zuckerman of Keenan Bean as the village's labor, employment, personnel, and human resources counsel. We've been working with Richard Zucker for, I won't say 20 years.
It's at least 20 years, and he's been a huge asset, and he's saved this village so much money over the years, it's ridiculous.
So he recently moved to a new firm, so they drew up some new paperwork for us, and that's what this is about. It's not a change in our representation, but it's a change in the law firm that he is employed with. So would anybody have any questions or concerns? Would someone like to make that motion?
I would definitely make that motion.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye.
Mayor, I'd like to point out that he was hired when I was mayor.
Well, there you go.
It's a long time. It's a good
All right.
choice.
Our final item here is adjournment. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I have some new business. No, if this board, as directed by the mayor, I take my marching orders from Nate, as you probably know, I'm sure he'll want to confer with you, perhaps to see if you would like me to explore whether or not we can adopt in local law a code provision that requires property owners of private roads, private shared driveways that are used by the public to some extent, legally speaking, legally used by the public. If we could include a provision that if they're not maintained by the property owner, they're subject to prosecution for a code violation, that they must be maintained and repaired and kept in good condition for the traveling public and for those persons who may be a part of that private ownership complex. Number one, and number two, if it is not maintained and repaired according to this code provision, that the village can enter upon the private property, make those repairs and maintenance itself, and charge it back to the property owner as part of their property tax bill. That second one aspect might be a little trickier, but as far as the first aspect, I'll do that research. If again, Nate, you don't have to answer me now.
No, I will. Please do.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
So I did I just checked Orangetown's property maintenance chapter just for shits and giggles, as we say, just to see what they have. And by no means is Orangetown's code perfect. I've been a deputy town attorney there for 30 years. I can tell you it is not perfect. Their property maintenance code provision does not have a provision that requires the maintenance in good repair of private roadways at all. There's nothing in there that says private roads must be maintained and repaired in good condition, safe for travel, etc. So just FYI. But as the mayor indicated, he'd like me to look into it, and I'll do that.
The way you see a draft of this legislation, what would be our potential liability? And I'm curious why Orangetown doesn't have that.
Well, my legal research would be checking just exactly that, is can a municipality enact in local law the code provision that requires the maintenance and repair of private roads that are used by the public legally by the nature of an easement, whether it's a recorded easement or a prescriptive easement.
I think parking lot should also be included in that.
But parking lots, I would probably include that anyway, but thank you. So I have to research that question. Does a municipality have that power to have such a code provision in its local laws? And if it does, then there should be little or no liability. I would say no liability to the municipality. If it's within our power and jurisdiction to have such a local law. It's really just that one question.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but not from a legal perspective. So the other balancing act here is that the property owner does let his property get used by the public in other ways that he doesn't necessarily have to. And that's kind of in exchange for a certain amount of understanding and working with him. So I can say with a good degree of confidence, if we make a law that says we're gonna come here and send you $10,000 for repairs and we don't do it, there will be no more farmers market, there will be no more concerts in the park, there will be no more It's a policy factor, it has nothing to do with.
I will do the legal research, I'm not drafting any laws or anything, I'm just going to do the legal research, I'll give you my legal opinion, and then you guys can decide on the policy, that's what you do.
Actually, Mayor, if I may, I just want to point that, I think it bears pointing out that part of the original site plan approval, landscaping and maintenance of the roads would be maintained. This is before Mr. Griffin even owned the property. That's part of the original site plan approval. So why can't the village hold them to the original site plan approval conditions?
Well, for a number of different reasons, it's challenging to work with the original site plan, given that we can't find documentation of some of those stipulations, and without a piece of paper, it's very hard to compel anything.
Be quick.
Okay. We're not really at that part of the meeting,
My understanding, I will write Orchard Terrace, Pier. My understanding is that our police force and presumably our volunteer fire department have an obligation, certainly on the penal side, to enforce the law on that private property. It can't be that our people, our police force, our people in our volunteer fire department have to go through an unsafe road. So I suggest that we look at it from that angle as well.
We had a problem with that, because Maureen brought it up earlier with regard to issuing summonses for illegally parked cars, trucks who were unloading and loading at the foot of Gare Street at the intersection of Piermont Avenue. We had to get Phil's permission.
But that's not penal.
And we still haven't gotten it in writing.
Well,
That's not penal. Just add that to the research, please.
thank you. Okay, next item is, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Do I hear a second?